Today, Jai Om Vishnupada Parhamsakacharya Ashtottara Shata Srimad Abhay Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the morning Bhagavatam class. Today we are reciting the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25. The title is The Glories of Devotional Service, and the text 29. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 29. Yo yogo bhagavad bhano nirvanatmam satvayodita kidrisha kati changani yatastattvavabodhanam. Yo yogo bhagavad bhano nirvanatmam svayodita kidrisha kati changani yatastattvavabodhanam. Yo yogo bhagavad bhano nirvanatmam svayodita kidrisha kati changani yatastattvavabodhanam. Prabhuji. Yo yogo bhagavad bhano nirvanatmam svayoditaha kidrisha kati changani yatastattvavabodhanam. Yo yogo bhagavad bhano nirvanatmam svayodita kidrisha kati changani yatastattvavabodhanam. Yo yogo bhagavad bhano nirvanatmam svayodita kidrisha kati changani yatastattvavabodhanam. What to what meaning? Yeah, which? Yoga, mystic yoga process. Bhagavad Bhana, aiming at the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nirvanatman, Nirvanatman, O embodiment of Nirvana. Tvaya, by you. Udita, explained. Kidrisha, of what nature. Kati, how many. Cha, and Angani, branches. Yata, by which. Tattva, of the truth. Avabodhanam, understanding. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation, please repeat with me. The mystic yoga system, as you have explained, aims at the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is meant for completely ending material existence. Please let me know the nature of that yoga system. How many ways are there by which one can understand in truth that sublime yoga? Purport. There are different kinds of mystic yoga systems aiming for different places of absolute truth. The Jnana Yoga system aims at the impersonal Brahman effulgence, and the Hatha Yoga aims at the localized personal aspect and Paramatma feature of the absolute truth, whereas Bhakti Yoga or devotional service, which is executed in 9 different ways, headed by hearing and chanting, aims at complete realization of the Supreme Lord. There are different methods of self-realization, but here Devotee especially refers to the Bhakti system, Bhakti Yoga system, which has already been primarily explained by the Lord. The different parts of Bhakti Yoga system are hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers. The different parts of the Bhakti Yoga system are hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping the Lord in the temple, accepting service to Him, carrying out His orders, making friendship with Him, and ultimately surrendering everything for the service of the Lord. The word Nirvana Atman is very significant in this verse. Unless one accepts the process of devotional service, one cannot end the continuation of the material existence. As far as the Jnanis are concerned, they are interested in Jnana Yoga, but even if one elevates oneself after the great performance of austerity to the Brahman effulgence, there is a chance of falling down again to the material world. Therefore, a Jnana Yoga does not actually end material existence. Similarly, regarding Hatha Yoga system, which aims at the localized aspect of the Lord Paramatma, it has been experienced that many yogis such as Vishwamitra fall down, but Bhakti Yoga, once approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, never come back to this material world, as it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Yadgatva na nivartante, tad upon going on one never comes back. Chaktva deham punarjanma naiti. After giving up this body, he never comes back again to accept a material body. Nirvana does not finish existence of the soul. The soul is ever existing. Therefore, Nirvana means to end one's material existence. To end material existence means to go back home, back to Godhead. Sometimes it is asked how the living entity falls down from the spiritual world to the material world. Here is the answer. Unless one is elevated to the Vaikuntha planets, directly in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is prone to fall down, either from the impersonal Brahman realization or from the ecstatic trance of meditation. Another word in this verse is Bhagavad Bana, is very significant. Bana means arrow. The Bhakti Yoga system is just like an arrow aiming up to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhakti Yoga system never adjusts one towards impersonal Brahman effulgence or to the point of Paramatma realization. This Bana or arrow is so sharp and swift that it goes directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, penetrating the regions of impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma. Hare Krishna. So we'll do Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana सहगन ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So we are continuing the chapter Glories of Devotional Service and the conversation between Devahuti and Kapila Muni. So if you see the translation, the first line it is mentioning the mystic yoga system as you have explained. So Devahuti was saying to Kapila Muni, the Kapila Muni has already explained the Bhakti Yoga process briefly to the Devahuti. So what the process, what he explained, the soul needs to soul. There is a soul and the super soul, Supreme Lord is there, and our aim is to connect to the super soul and the Supreme Lord, and finally go back to the Godhead. This is what Kapila Muni informed to Devahuti. Not only that, he started explaining how these material modes will impact our bhakti. And not only that, in the subsequent verses, it was mentioned like jnana and vairagya, how it influences bhakti. And then finally, he was explained about the sadhus. What are the qualities of sadhu? Sadhus, like they tolerate, they are friendly, they are merciful, they renounce everything for the sake of Lord, and they all constantly meditate on supreme hearing and chanting. So these are the things. And finally, our aim is to associate with the sadhus. Then we will continue, we will be able to progress in our devotion. So this is what the Kapila Muni explained to Mother Devahuti. Now, in today's verse, she is asking asking Kapila Muni to explain more. What is her question? See, so far whatever Kapila Muni explained, it's only they talking about Bhakti Yoga process where he was instructing Mother Devahuti to chant, meditate, associate with sadhus, right? But what is the ultimate aim of bhakti? Serving yato bhakti atokshaja, right? So serving Supreme Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. But so Mother Devahuti has not got any information about this Supreme Lord Krishna. Here it is mentioned Tattvata, the truth about Krishna, the absolute truth. She did not receive anything in that, right? So in the Bhakti Yoga process helping everyone to achieve service to Supreme Lord Krishna. Now she wanted to understand more about Krishna. So she is going to perform devotional service to Krishna, and she wanted to know about the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna in Tattvata, in the full knowledge, in truth. That is what her question. If you are doing service to some person, if you know very well, if you understand him, then you will have a better connection with him and you will be able to do more better service. But if you don't know fully about him, then your devotion, the relation will not last long, right? So that is where the Mother Devahuti was asking him to explain the nature of Bhakti Yoga, which we are doing to serve Vishnu Krishna, the Supreme Lord. She was asking to explain in Tattvata, in the truth about him. See, when we are trying to understand person, we can say two aspects. One, understanding superficially, like externally. Okay, he is a person. Like Krishna. Krishna is a person living in Goloka. People may think that, okay, I am having 2 legs and 2 hands, and Krishna is having 2 legs. So that is knowing superficially, right? When you know at that level, you will not have any deep relation, like a normal human being will say. But when you know in Tattvata, it means when you know in knowledge, you know about him, what Krishna does, what is his mood, how we reciprocate relation with various devotees. When you understand everything in full, in truth, Tattvata means in various places. In this verse it is mentioned truth, and in the other places there are many verses where this word Tattvata came, reality. Right? In all, the summary is knowing the truth about Supreme Lord Krishna. So whom you are going to serve through Bhakti Yoga process, she wanted to understand, know the Krishna, and what are the various ways we can understand absolute truth. That is what she is trying to understand. So her initial question was, she wanted to come out of this material entanglement. She was frustrated with involving all material activities, and she wanted to come out of this material entanglement. That is what she asked question to say Kapila Muni, and Kapila Muni explained Bhakti Yoga process. And Bhakti Yoga process, after listening Bhakti Yoga process, what he explained, then Mother Devahuti was wanted to know more about Krishna, the person to whom she is going to serve. That is what the understanding, that is what the question Mother Devahuti is putting forward to Sage Kapila. And another word in the verse is first line, Bhagavad Bano. The Bana means arrow. So in the purport, Prabhupada was clearly explaining the arrow. Bhakti Yoga process is an arrow towards Supreme Lord. What we do in Bhakti Yoga? We do devotional service. And which means our devotional service is towards Krishna is like an arrow towards Krishna, which will touch the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also it is mentioned very clearly, the Bhakti Yoga process, this arrow is not towards impersonal Brahman or Paramatma realization. It is only to Bhagavan, the person. It's not an impersonal Brahman or Paramatma feature, it is proper person Krishna, towards Bhagavan Krishna. This Bhakti Yoga, the devotional service is going towards that Bhagavan. So when you are hitting the arrow, shooting the arrow, you need to know your destination. You need to know your target. What is the target? Where it is situated? How should I hit? Right? You need to know all the aspects before hitting the arrow. Similarly, when we do Bhakti Yoga, the devotional service, when you are shooting the arrows of devotion towards Krishna, we need to understand Krishna. We need to know who is he, not superficially, but in tattvata, in truth, in reality. We need to understand about Krishna. And in this verse, the Mother Devahuti was asking, what are the various ways, Bhakti Yoga, different angas, through which we can understand this absolute truth. So this is how we can understand what exactly Mother Devahuti is asking in this verse. Now, when we say tattva, the basic question is, she wanted to understand the absolute truth, tattvata, and what nature of that Bhakti Yoga process, as well as understanding the tattvata, and what are the various angas. So let's try to understand what is tattvata, what is truth. Like as I mentioned, knowing superficially is different, knowing in detail is different, right? What is this tattvata? The tattva, the absolute truth. So in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, second chapter, there is a verse. Vadanti tat tattva vidhi tattvat yajnanamavayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sarjati. Right? Vadanti tat tattva vidhi tattvam yajnanamavayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sarjati. So this absolute tattva can be understood in three ways. One is brahmeti, Brahman level. Paramatmeti, the super soul Paramatma who is sitting in our heart, and Bhagavan is a final ultimate realization. So that is the topmost realization. So in our Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam various places, Prabhupada mentioned this analogy, understanding this absolute truth, like the three stages, Brahman level, Paramatma and Bhagavan level. Analogy, Prabhupada gave multiple analogies in Bhagavad Gita and many lectures. So one such analogy we can take here to get more understanding is like train. So in a village, they don't know anything about train. So the new train connection was started and going through their village, and people wanted to know about train. Then what they did, they identified three people. Instead of going everyone and going to the train station and see the train, what they nominated three people, and three people identified, and they have to go and see the train and come back and explain to the villagers. So the train comes in the morning or midnight something. So first person, all three persons went. First person went, and he saw on the platform, and the train was coming from far. In the night time it is, so he could see only big light in the front. So then he saw that and he went back and told, okay, train is nothing but a big light coming. It's coming from far, it's a big light. And the next person went there and he saw, when the train was a bit closer to the platform. So then he saw, okay, train is having the light, it has an engine and it has compartments. And that person went and told the villagers, okay, this is what the train. But the third person waited until the train stops on the platform. And then he saw, train engine is there, light is there, engine is there, and all the compartments there. Not only that, people are sitting in that compartment. And people are sleeping, eating, doing all the different activities. So this is what about train. Same thing. The absolute truth Krishna, people will understand at the different levels. Some people understand Brahman level, where it's effulgence of Krishna. And some people will go a little bit further up, where they see Paramatma, who is sitting in our heart. Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is sitting in our heart as a Paramatma. And the final, ultimate realization is Bhagavan feature, knowing the full train, what it is, what it contains, right? What all the activities we can do in the train. Same thing. So knowing Supreme Lord Krishna, what is he, what is mood, what are the various activities he does, how we reciprocate with the devotees. So this is what the Bhagavan realization. So this is the topmost realization. And Prabhupada mentioned many places. If you know Bhagavan realization, you will obviously understand Paramatma and Brahman realization. But otherwise not. If you only understand Paramatma, so, or if you only know the Brahman, you will not be knowing Bhagavan. So this is the briefly about the Tattvata which Devahuti wanted to know, the Bhagavan the absolute truth. So this is what Bhagavatam is mentioning about the absolute truth. And the next one, now that we know this is absolute, but knowing that absolute truth, how the process works. Like in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, there's a verse, Manushanam sahasreshu khasjit yatati siddhaya yatatam api siddhaya khaschin mam veti tattvata. So Manushanam sahasreshu khasjit yatati siddhaya. So there are Manushanam sahasreshu, out of thousands of people, only khasjit yatati siddhaya, only one person will try to achieve siddha. Siddhaya means perfection. Siddhi means perfection. Perfection means realization. So out of so many people in this world, only one person will be trying to achieve perfection. But yatatam api siddhaya, once you get the siddhi, what will not the person has achieved the siddhi, but what will happen? He may not be knowing. He will only know the siddhi. Realization means, who am I? I am a soul. I am not this body. I am the soul. And who is God? What is our relation with God? So all these things will come into the picture when you say realization. So you will get this knowledge that, okay, I am not the body, I am the soul. But what is the last line? Kaschin mam veti tattvata. So hardly one knows me in truth. Even after understanding that, okay, I am not the body, I am the soul, but not everybody can understand absolute truth Krishna in tattvata, in full. That is what this verse is saying. Now, we can understand more on this tattvata part. Suppose in the second line it is Kaschid Yatati Siddhaya. So one person is trying to understand this siddha, realize it, the self-realization. He wanted to have the inquisitiveness, he wanted to inquire, he wanted to achieve this siddha, the realization. So what it means, like, see, when you understand the Vedas, like what are the basic crux of Veda, like Vedesha Sarvam Aham Eva Vedyo, right? What Krishna, the purpose of all Vedas is to know Krishna in truth, right? So, but what was in the Vedas, it was also mentioned, Athato Brahma Jignasa, right? The knowing, the inquiring about absolute supreme, that is our ultimate aim of human being. So, if a person starts this second line, Yata Kaschid Yatati Siddhaya, means person starts realizing that is actually real awakening of the human form of life, right? So otherwise, as per Vedas, Atato Brahma Jignasa means everyone has to inquire this about Supreme Absolute. But how many people are inquiring? Manushanam Sahasreshu. Only few people are
trying to attracted towards this knowledge and trying to inquire. Not everyone. So in that case, what it means? So those who are not inquiring about this, those who are not doing Atato Brahma Jignasa, they are as good as animals. What animal does? Sleep, eating, sleeping, mating and defending. And those who are the human beings, those who are not inquiring about this Brahma, supreme being, though they are also equal to animals. And one more thing, and Prabhupada was mentioning in his lectures, like there are no institutions, proper institutions to give this knowledge, right? That is the reason not everybody is getting attracted to Krishna. Only few people are trying to So now he wanted to realize the self, he wanted to inquire about who am I, what is my relation with God. Now, yatatam api siddhaya. Now the next step is you achieve that realization. So once you achieve the realization, what will happen? So you will have the knowledge through the Jnana Yoga process. You follow the Jnana Yoga and you achieve this realization. What is that realization? I am not the body, I am the soul. We have the Supreme Lord is the super soul. We are part and parcel of super soul, and our ultimate aim is to go back to Supreme God, so personality of Godhead. This is the Jnana you will get. But there ends the story. He does now, for the impersonal Brahman, impersonalist people, that is the end point. For bhakti people, devotees, that is the beginning point. Up to this stage, they followed Jnana Yoga process. They did not start any devotion. From here, they need to start devotion. That is the, once you reach this Brahman, this realization, then you will have to do the devotional service. So this stage is, this realized state is called Brahma Bhuta state. So there is the verse in the Bhagavad Gita 18.54. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma Nasochati Nakankshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madhyakti Labate Para. So you were initially having the desire. Now you understand, you with your inquisitiveness, you achieved the realization. Now you understand who are you and all those things. Now you have to, then that is what this verse is explaining. Once you achieve the realization, what will happen? So, nasochati nakankshati. When you achieve this Brahman realization, Brahma Bhuta platform, when you reach, you will not have any nasochati nakankshati. Nasochati means you don't have any lamentation. Suppose if you lose something, if you don't possess anything, you will not lament. And if you nakankshati, you will not have any desire to possess anything new. So it means when you are in this realized state, you are free from all material desires. This is the platform. So once you reach this stage, then only you will be able to start a devotion service. Then what is the next line is saying? Sama sarveshu bhuteshu. When you reach this Brahma Bhuta state where you understand you are not body, you are soul, then you start saying Sama sarva bhuteshu. Means you will be seeing everyone equally. On what basis? Because you understand that you are not the body, you are the soul. Now you see everyone as a soul. The external body is like a dress and the soul is there inside. So you start identifying everyone as a soul. So you will be seeing as a soul. That is why you see equally. On the platform of soul, you see equally. Right? So that is another verse. Vishaya vinivartante. And Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastine Sunichaya Swapakesha Pandita Samadarshini. So when you in a Brahma Bhuta state, when you realize a state, what will happen? You see a Brahmana, dog, animal, lion, or the Chandala, everyone, you will see an equal vision. What it means? You are identifying as a soul. On the soul based, you are making them, you seeing equally. But on the external note, on the bodily identification, you are not equating Brahman and dog equally. That is not the intention. On the soul level, you are differentiating, equating. But on the bodily platform, based on external thing, you will reciprocate as per their bodily structure. If the dog is there, you reciprocate according to their body. But you know that underlying body, there is a soul. So that jnana you will get. So this is all Brahma Bhuta state where you will start realizing all these realizations, knowledge we will affect. So first this is in relation to understanding the absolute truth. How we understand the absolute truth? This is the first people try to do self-realization, and then after the self-realization, when see everyone equally vision, and then you see the nasochati nakanchati, then you will have a devotional service. Mad bhakti labate para, then you will be having the devotional service. And when you start the devotion service, so we need to understand like the difference between the activity which we do in the devotion. It look like a material activities, like when you see the normal eyes, but the consciousness is different. We are having the consciousness towards Vishnu. So we understand that our aim is, Krishna is the Supreme Lord, our aim is to go back to Godhead. We are not the body, we are the soul. Our aim is to go back to Godhead. So once you understand that realization, okay, and it was also mentioned in another day, Bhagavad Gita in some other verse, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati. So now you have to go back to Godhead, means only through bhakti only you will understand me, and then you can go back to Godhead. That's what the verse in the verse 18.55 it was mentioned, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati, right? So only through devotion only you will understand Krishna and then go back to Godhead. So the devotional service is very important. Now when you see the last week also we were discussing about some material activities. So how you will have some motivation to do some material activities. But what will happen? Suppose you wanted to take care of family nicely. So you work very hard Monday to Friday. But after Friday, you feel very tired. You will not, that motivation, whatever you wanted to take care of family, that will not be there. Rather, you wanted to get rest. You want to give rest, right? Then you will do some other activities. Then after Monday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, you do that. Then Monday, again you start, right? So this material activity which we do, it will not give bliss continuously. It will is a temporary bliss, temporary happiness. After that, you will be able to do the on and off. But whereas when you do the spiritual devotional service, like it is Ananda Ambudhi Vardhanam. In the Chaitanya Shikshastakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying Ananda Ambudhi Vardhanam means the Ananda, the bliss will keep on increasing. The more devotional you do, the bliss will be increasing. How we can understand this? When we started our Krishna conscious journey, we started with 1 round of chanting daily, maybe 2 rounds of chanting daily. But once we keep on increasing. Some people reach 16 rounds. Some people reach 34 or 32 rounds. And some people are doing 64 rounds, right? So that is the bliss. Unless if you don't have Ananda, you will not be able to progress in this chanting. That is the one example we can understand. So this devotional activity it gives the bliss, Ananda, through, unlike a material activity, this will give Ananda. The Ananda will keep on increasing. Like if you see the ocean, this normal material ocean, there is a huge ocean, but it will not increase, right? But in this, the devotion, like the bliss which we get through the devotion, it is also like an ocean, but it will keep increasing. Like how we can understand through the chanting. So if you don't have that taste, Prabhupada was explaining, like, so instead of chanting Hare Krishna, I do Mr. John. After doing for 1 hour, I will stop doing that. I will not be having the interest to do, right? When you do the holy name, the Maha Mantra, you will keep on increasing, get the taste, and you will keep on increasing. So this is the bhakti. So when you do the devotion, when you get the bliss, so then you will understand Krishna. That's what Bhaktyamam Abhijanati. When you do in devotion, then only you will be understanding Krishna. So that's what the understanding superficial is different, understanding in tattvata. In order to understand in tattvata, in truth, this is what we have to follow. This is what the Devahuti is asking. What are the various ways this tattvata can be understood? So since it is Kapila Muni was explaining the Bhakti Yoga, so he is mentioning on all these aspects. And one more thing, in this tattvata we can understand more. So when you do the person, like as I mentioned earlier, when you see superficially, you can see legs, hands, everything. But same thing if you apply on the Krishna, say Supreme Bhagavan Krishna, we have many scriptures in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. There they explain very beautifully about Krishna. Like we have a verse in, I think it was in 10th canto. Barha pedam natavarvapu karanayo karnikaram vibradvasa kanaka kapisam vaijayanti chamalam randran venu adara pudaran Puragopa Vrunda, Vrundaranyam Sapadaраmanam Pravishad Gita Kirti. So this is what Krishna, it was explained about Krishna in Bhagavatam, right? Barhapidam, he will either and he was wearing the Karnika flowers in the ear, and he wearing Vaijayanti Mala on the neck, and he's playing flute, and when and walking, and all the Vrajavasis were getting attracted. So this is how we get the description about Krishna. When we are trying to understand in Tattvata, we get all these aspects of Krishna. When you hear all these aspects of Krishna, you feel bliss. It's not superficially seeing, we are understanding more. And we also get to know, when we interact with Krishna, Krishna will exchange in different rasas, right? Vatsalya rasa, Madhurya rasa, Sakya rasa. So various rasas are there, 5 rasas, primary rasas. So Krishna will have a loving relation with all these rasas, with the devotees in the various rasas. So all these things we'll get to know. And when we trying to understand in Tattvata, we will get to know. And these are the very different varieties. In Bhakti also, we have a different varieties there. Krishna can exhibit in different varieties and different relations. So now the example is, if you don't understand the truth, absolute properly, what will happen? So we have the good examples from Bhagavatam, like Brahma Vimohan Leela. So Krishna was there as a small boy, Gopa, and he is playing with Gopas, and he snatched food from his mouth and he was eating. When this activity, Brahma thought he cannot be Krishna. So he was understanding Krishna as in different, not understanding fully. That is the reason where he understood he cannot be Krishna. Later he did all, he realized it. And same thing in Indra, right? So when Krishna informed Nanda Maharaj and other Vrajavasis, stop doing the Govardhan, stop watching Indra and do the Govardhan. And Krishna, okay, Indra did not realize that this is Krishna, right? So this is the problem. If we don't understand Tattvata, we will be bewildered sometimes by seeing Krishna activities. So this is another. When Krishna descends onto the material earth, he looked like a normal material person, but he is not material. His body is transcendental, right? That is the knowledge. When we understand. He is not an ordinary person. He is not a material being. He's still, though he look like a material person, his body is transcendental. His activity is also transcendental. So his activity is also transcendental, right? So from the age of 6 years, so when he was 6 days old, he started killing Putana. And then after that, every day he was killing the one demon each day, right? So this, when you see all these activities, so normal person cannot do. So Bhagavan can do. And so since Krishna is doing whatever Krishna is doing, it is all transcendental. So this is all okay. And whatever, if he is dancing with the gopis, that is also transcendental. So all these activities, when you understand Krishna with the Tattvata, when keeping that Tattvata knowledge, the truth about Krishna, the reality about Krishna in your consciousness, and when you see all the activities Krishna is doing, then you will understand these are all transcendental activities. His body is not an ordinary body. His activities are not normal. So when you understand all this, so you will not be able to stay in this material. You will be able to go back to Godhead. So this is the advantage of knowing Krishna in truth. So this truth only Devahuti was trying to understand, and she was inquiring what are the various ways through which we can understand this truth in the Bhakti Yoga process. So as mentioned in the purport also, Prabhupada was mentioning the various Jnana Yoga is there. For the Brahman realization, the Jnana Yoga is the process. And Paramatma realization, Jnana Yoga is the process. But for the Bhakti Yoga, Bhagavan realization, Bhakti Yoga is process. But it is also, as part of the discussion also, we realize, see, when the material bliss is temporary, spiritual bliss is like eternal, right? So if you are in the Brahman realization, like, so you understand, you are not the body, you are the soul, you are seeing the equal vision with everyone, and you don't have any desire, but you are not doing devotion. How long you will? Our mind is always, it has to be engaged in something, and it looks for ananda, right? Sachit ananda we also have in a smaller quantity, right? So the ananda, we look for blissful ananda, But that Ananda, when you are in the material platform, in the Brahma Bhuta realization, you are not getting, because you are not doing any devotional service there. But whatever activities you are doing, it are material. And the material is temporary. Bliss is temporary. So that's where you will not get. So what will happen? You will fall down again. Suppose if with the material Brahma, understanding the Brahman realization, you merge in the Brahman after you leaving. But since you don't have any devotional activity and you only involved in the material thoughts, so you won't get the bliss. And when you are not getting any ananda, then finally after some time you will fall back. Same thing, Paramatma realization. We can take the example of Vishwamitra Rishi. Vishwamitra also did so much tapasya, but he got distraction, right? So both the Brahman realization and Paramatma realization, there is a chance you can come, you will fall down. But in the Bhagavan realization, when you understand Krishna, when you go back to Godhead, Yadgatva nivartante taddama paramam mama, right? So once you go back to that abode, you will not come back to Godhead. So that is the advantage of knowing Bhagavan, the absolute truth in full. So, and one more is the mention, word important version is, word it was mentioned, nirvana here. So nirvana, the meaning of the general in a Buddhism and other, we have the nirvana of that. So ceasing the material existence. But here in the Bhakti Marg, what we can understand, it's not only ceasing the material existence, it is looking for the bliss. We will be looking for the bliss. So that is we can understand in our, not just closing the material existence and making void, rather we involve in the devotional service. So this is all about the Tattvata with Devahuti was trying to ask to Kapila Muni. And within that Bhakti Marg, Bhakti Yoga also, various angas mentioned. Like start with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. These are various angas where using which we can follow the Bhakti Yoga. Then when we do the devotional service, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati. So when you do the devotional service, when you will understand Krishna, then you will go back to Godhead. So the same thing Devahuti was trying to understand. So I will stop here. Any comments? Yes. Mm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, because these are aspects of the spiritual world only. The Brahman Jyoti and other, yeah, this is part of the spiritual. Yeah. See, yes. Brahman realization, I think it will be spiritual only. It's part of the spiritual. Adipurush Prabhu, is it? Okay, your comments. Effulgence of body of Krishna. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. It's not technically, it is not a spiritual, but it's a kind of entrance. It's yeah.
You will see the Paramatma, but you will, if you don't do the devotion, then you will fall back. That was the Paramatma realization. Okay. Yeah, that you will get when you go back to the spiritual world, right? That is what you can. Okay. On hearing the statement of the Lord, what kind of devotional service worth developing and practicing to help me easily and immediately attain the service of your lotus feet? So I think same thing like in this verse it was asked more elaborately what are the different angas where in the bhakti yoga process which we have to perform, right? So that's where it is mentioned Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, all those things mentioned. I think we can connect that way. Prabhu, as mentioned, the Shravanam is starts with the topmost is this Shravanam, right? That is the starting point. Shravanam and Kirtanam. So from there, it's remaining things will develop. We can develop. That's where we start chanting. Is the first thing we start, right? Chanting, Shravanam, Kirtanam, those things. Yes. Prabhu. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।